Hello, how are you doing? So, it's been quite a while since I last spoke to you, and it is coming on to 2 years now, almost, since I got diagnosed with breast cancer. And I thought, I think I'm at a place now where I can start looking back on this journey and finding the lessons, the growth, the gifts. I would almost say gifts. No, not almost. I'd say gifts that are the nuggets of gold that are in this journey, and share them to see if perhaps they are of value to you as much as they are to me. And I know that I, work in the field of body image, self-awareness, relationships, and sensuality and expression. And I think that all of those came into play when it comes to the cancer journey, when it comes to dealing with such an invasive change in life, in dealing with a body that has to go through incredible changes and with so many opinions and thoughts and procedures that challenge your belief system, that challenge the way you feel about the body, about life, about health, about relationships even. So I decided, I'm going to do a little series of videos. This is the first one. So let me start by saying my name is Georgina. In case you don't know me, I'm a coach, therapist, trainer, whatever you want to call it. Give it a label, And I'm, at the same time, I also work in corporate life, where I work in marketing / project management / anything to do basically with customer insights. And so I think the summary of that is I'm fascinated by people, behavior, feelings, patterns, all that kind of stuff. So what happened to me on May 23rd, 2018, quite a lot of you know, is I got the diagnosis of breast cancer, and then on June 8th of that year, a couple of weeks later, I was told that the breast cancer had spread, and it had spread to such an extent that basically the only place they couldn't find it was in my brain. So that's called a stage 4. There is no stage 5. Yeah, death. So that was severe. That was shocking and major. And what was interesting is that when I came out of the first meeting, I was there with my sister. I squeezed her hand and I just had to repeat. And I said, I have breast cancer. I have breast cancer. And there was no anger. There was just this kind of, is this real? Really? Okay. But when you think about it, 1 in 7 women will get breast cancer. 1 in 3 people will deal with cancer in some stage of their lives. And 1 in 7 women will get breast cancer. And so there I was, one of the statistics, one of the women, and 6 women by my side, or 7, depends on which country you're talking about, were clear. So there is a golden line in a way. But I had breast cancer. And my first response was, hold on, I need to find the women around me that have dealt with this. And the list was quite shocking. There were so many of them. And I called them and I spoke to them and I gathered my information because I was preparing for the choices ahead, the process of elimination of what I did want and didn't want, and the choices I would have. And then I got to that second meeting, looking pretty and nice, and expecting to go to take my sister and my partner to lunch afterwards. And then came, quite frankly, the devastating news that it had spread to such an extent. And furthermore, they told me that I was in danger of becoming a quadriplegic because it was in my vertebrae at such a high level that, I was in danger. So I was sent to the neurologist immediately. And I was in the waiting room of the neurologist, and there was his windowsill. And I just walked over to look out, to have a kind of a perspective or a wider view than the hospital. And I bent over, and as I did so, this wail came out, and I started wailing, howling at the moon, crying. Ugly cry, deep, deep sorrow, emotion, snot, to the point where you almost need to vomit, big, big stuff coming out. And I think quite a natural response. But what happened was really interesting, and there was my first lesson, is that what happened was very quickly some hospital staff rushed over to me, and what happens is they moved me into a private room so that I could do my crying and wailing and upsetting and stop upsetting other patients in private. And so, this cultural programming immediately overtook me, where I thought, I shouldn't be doing that in public, and I guess this is over the top, and I should be thinking about the other people, and yada yada yada, all that kind of programming. And also the flow of the emotion was interrupted. And when you interrupt the expression and the full feeling of an emotion, then it's a pattern interruption, and it stops and it breaks the flow of it. And if it fully flows through you and you can just express and let it go, release it, then it lasts about 90 seconds. And I had quite a few emotions to deal with. So, it would have lasted a bit more than 90 seconds, and it was already lasting more. But it was interrupted. And so what happened then is that I blocked it inside. I internalized, and that meant that there was this trauma in my system that I had to deal with over the last 2 years, time and time again. I would keep coming back because that bloody waiting room is on my way to my oncologist. And I walked past it so many times, and so many times I revisited that moment and those emotions and the deepest sorrow, not of my life, but of one of the deepest sorrows of my life. And so, why am I sharing that moment, and why is it so golden? Is I got to express and learn, I got to learn and experience for myself the importance of stepping away from your programming, stepping away from your preconceived ideas of what is and isn't correct and right in that moment, and the incredible need your body has to be allowed to go through these emotions. And by body, it means body and soul, the whole caboodle. When they come in alignment, they're very clear about what it is you need. And at that moment, I needed to wail and scream and cry and piss myself and all the whole lot. And I see now, and I look around me, we are currently in Corona time. That means lockdown, that means there's fear, there's anxiety, there's frustration, there's anger, there's irritation, there's a multitude of emotions, and I'm seeing so much judgment of it. And in that judgment is that programming again. You shouldn't, and you couldn't, and you wouldn't, and you hubbada. You know what? You're feeling it. Yes, there's plenty of things you can do to become more aware of why that's coming up for you, or to what extent you are creating the emotions by feeding by feeding yourself with too much information or too much of other people's stuff. Yes, all of that's very valuable, but when you're feeling what you're feeling, what is the point of judging it as you're feeling it? What is the point of judging the other while they're feeling it and going through it? So being more gentle with yourself, being more understanding with what somebody else is going through is one of the lessons I learned, was one of the lessons that moment brought me, to embrace just what is coming up for you in that moment in time, and not to hold on to it that that's your state or that is how you feel about it for the rest of the journey. But in that particular moment in time, this is what needs to be dealt with. And the dealing with is not something that you do with your head and you analyze it and you rationalize it, you make a plan for it. Nuh-uh. This is way more animalistic, way more basic, and much more the work of the heart and of the soul. And so my lesson was to start allowing myself to go through whatever came up for me in any point in time. And I'm telling you, I'm still learning that lesson. I still find myself having moments where I judge, or where I kind of go back to old programming and old patterns of where I change my behavior and try to subdue whatever it is I'm feeling. But overall, I am less concerned with what other people are thinking or feeling or saying to me concerning my emotions or whatever I need to go through. My needs. And that doesn't mean that other people need to fulfill my needs, but for me to just feel whatever it is that needs to come out, be felt, be heard, be given attention. So that's my message to you now. Be more gentle with yourself, be more understanding, and perhaps when you see it in somebody else, sit with them, breathe with them, and then meet them on the other side, because there is another side of that, At the end of that wave, there is this quiet and healing space, and that's where the work of the mind can come in, and the consciousness and the awareness of then working through what happened and what brought it up and all that kind of stuff. But first you need to go through that wave. Okay. I'm going to come back to you with other videos and other stuff and see, if any of that rings true to you or if it helps you. Great. So you have a lovely day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.